Hello everyone and welcome to the Indianapolis Open Series with the Invitational. I'm Glenn Jones. I'm joined by Shaheen Soorani. Shaheen, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, thanks.
I'm sure you're enjoying some buys here at the Invitational. Hard-earned.
It's hard-earned, yes, from a lot of grinding. And as you know, it's my little reward here and there, and especially in a format where the only time I played Legacy is the prior Invitational, so it's nice to sit back and relax.
Yeah, a Legacy Open champion who doesn't play that much Legacy, Shaheen.
It's tough. I do play the 2010 stock list that won the Grand Prix from Tom Martell, so it's pretty good still.
Yeah, all right. Well, you are looking forward to Standard, where you're going to get to play your own control concoction. Esper is kind of in vogue these days, so you're no longer that rogue, crazy Esper mage typing away online, so you've had to move over and play some blue-white-red control.
Exactly.
And that's what you've sleeved up this weekend. So first off, why do you want to go with blue-white-red as opposed to Esper, beyond just being a weird Shaheen?
Beyond being like a hipster saying it's too in right now, so I need to be something else. So the real reason is Assemble the Legion. It's in a nutshell.
Okay.
It's the card that not only is it broken against the mirror match, the Esper mirror, whatever control mirror, blue-white, everyone's playing that, but against the black deck because they just simply cannot handle that card. I mean, no one's going to be playing like Illness in the ranks or anything to handle that card in the black deck, so they're pretty much just shields down with that. You get it in play, resolve it, the thing is going to be doing all the work for you. It stops Desecration Demon, it stops Pack Rats, you can clutter the ground with it, now, and all their ground guys in general, and then eventually you just overwhelm them. Cards like Blood Baron, when you get that in play, I've had in play and I've lost with it on Moto multiple times because they have Devour Flesh and they hold that card for dear life. And then finally when you play your card you think it's so good, they kill it because there's no other targets for it. I get Thought Seize and they only take the Blood Baron because they know it's so easy to deal with. So if you're going to play a deck this weekend, I think, especially in a high caliber tournament like this with very skilled players that are going to be playing a lot of mono black, you need to have a card that's just one of those get-you cards.
Yeah, I like that you brought up Devour Flesh because the removal people are actually playing is, in this really weird space in this format, as it has been for a while. We've been getting a lot of conditional removal from Wizards, and I've been really interested to see how the format's actually developed. For example, following the Pro Tour, everyone assumed, Doom Blades are where it's going to be. The mono black deck takes down that standard Grand Prix, and it's relying on Doom Blade and then Ultimate Price, which is one of the few spells that's actually good in the mirror. And then, as you mentioned, you have to have something for these Obsidats and Blood Barons, and that's where something like Devour Flesh might actually be able to come in and get the job done. You don't have access to any of those options because you're not playing black.
Right.
So you've gone with what we might expect, Detention Sphere. That's pretty common for Esper decks, but you've also supplemented it with Chain to the Rocks, Turn and Burn, and Ratchet Bomb. So tell me a little bit about why you chose these spells and the split on them, because I know you've got some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, definitely. We all started 2 Detention Spheres. I think all control players started that. And then you realize with a deck like Mono Black Devotion, you have to have 4. There's no other correct number besides 4. You must have it because there's so many cards that you have to handle that are not creatures, and you need the versatility. 1. 2, nobody plays Enchantment Removal main deck. There's no acidic slimes running around, and barely anybody plays in the sideboard either. So Detention Sphere is the best it's ever been. Oblivion Ring would be the best it's ever been. Like, this is the point where the card is a removal spell that sticks in play. After board, there's some red-green answers to it, but then you can shave off some. There's no reason to have 2 and 2 in the board or 3 and 1 on the board because nobody's playing the enchantment removal main deck if they even have it. So then you can decide to board some out. So Ratchet Bomb is one of those spells that is not the greatest against aggro decks as people think. It's much better against the slower decks. Against the control decks, you can blow up Detention Spheres. You can get to a safe number against creatures like Ozbat or Blood Baron that you're having a hard time with because you have plenty of time to deal with it. Even Jace, get it up to 4 and just let it rest there for a while, and you get to control the game flow. It's also pretty good against Underworld Connections and those things, get it on 3 and relax, because black, again, has no way to get rid of it. It's just one of those answer all cards that you need. It's like Detention Spheres 5 and 6. Turn and Burn is a 1 of in the main, so is Chain the Rocks, and 1 in the board. Turn and Burn kills Blood Baron, which you have a hard time against.
Sure.
It kills Desecration. It kills everything. I mean, it's not too...
It's impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I didn't know this card was that good until I played with it. Like, for years I thought, or for a year now, I really thought it was just kind of an card. But once playing with it, it just fits the curve perfectly at 2. And then later on in the game, you get to kill anything you want. I mean, it's definitely... And many times I just turn a demon and then block it with a soldier token, and that's good too. So.
I really like how your removal also matches up against the new mono black threat, especially Pack Rat, because Chain to Rocks can obviously catch it early, so can Turn and Burn, and then you've got all these Spheres and Ratchet Bombs, which can actually clear out the pack, which can be pretty difficult to 1-for-1 a Pack Rat.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving on, we did already talk about Assemble the Legion. One of the things that I'm a little cautious about, jumping on the Assemble train, I agree it's incredible against mono black, is just all of the Jace Architecta thoughts in the format make Assemble the Legion kind of unreliable. And it's such a great weapon in control matchups because you can resolve it pretty easily based on its cost. It comes in under the turns where you're going to start worrying about getting Aetherlinged. So I'm a big fan, but do you actually wind up keeping it in against Jace mirrors and trying to like beat their Jaces? Because you kind of have to beat Jace anyway, right? Or what's your plan with it against other blue decks?
Yeah, that's a good point. Jace is a problem, and that's why, again, you're playing the 4 Detention Sphere 2 Ratchet Bomb. Pretty much the name on the Detention Sphere Ratchet Bomb is to destroy Jace Architect of Thought in the mirror match. And it eventually, they can't leave it out there too long. If you get like 10, 9, 10, 11 counters on, they keep +1ing, and you're like, you can Warrior's Helix and turn it to kind of keep it low, turn and burn it. If they do that and then get caught off guard with the Detention Sphere, the game's over. They're just going to get overwhelmed. It's kind of like a fragile protection against it, and it's much better against assembled decks without blue. But this deck, since you have the options of Detention Sphere, you have Ratchet Bomb, and if they -2 Jace the first turn it comes into play, you can untap, you can burn it, and you can Warrior's Helix it. And Warrior's Helix is surprisingly effective against Planeswalkers. Yeah. And it's one of those where it kills all the red-green ones the turn they come in. You can kill Domri the first turn, you can kill Xanagos, you can kill Jace after they -2 it, you can kill Elspeth by getting a little damage in there and then doing it.
Sure.
So it's got a lot of reach. But yeah, if they have Jace out and you have a symbol, you're going to need a little help from Detention Sphere Ratchet Bomb.
Okay. All right, that about covers your main deck. So let's move over to the sideboard because you've got some spicy meatballs in there. You've got 9 singletons. Nothing unusual.
Yeah.
But then you've also got 3 Jace Memory Adept. And it seems like a pretty awkward time to be going all in on Planeswalkers. Heroes Downfall is literally sold out pretty much everywhere. It's sold out at our booth. I don't know how players are going to play the Standard Open if they want to buy Heroes Downfalls tomorrow.
They play Murder.
Yeah, that's pretty close. So what makes you want to go just super big on Planeswalkers, knowing this is the environment you're walking into?
That's a good question. And it's actually because of how popular Heroes Downfall is, I think Jace Memory Depth's gotten a little better, and here's why. You have 4 memory, you have 4 Architect of Thought main, you have 2 Elspeth, and you have 3 memory depth after board. You have 9 Planeswalkers. The maximum Heroes Downfall I see is like 3. Most people have downed to like 3 of those. 4 in the Esper deck. The Esper deck where you want it. Against other decks that are more heavy black, like the other black control decks or mono black, they only have 4. Well, they definitely have 4. But in the Esper list, they play 3, and then they play a lot of Detention Spheres. They want to have a good little split there because you can't overload 4 and then 2 Sphere.
Especially on 3-drop removal spells.
Exactly. You can't go all in on that. So having so many, a dense amount of those, is that, they'll kill a Jace, they'll kill one of your, they'll kill an Architect of Thought, they'll kill a Memory Depth, but eventually, when you stick one, they are so vulnerable to that card, and especially when you bring in 3 negates with it. So you have 3 negates, you have Syncopate, you have we haven't got that card. We're going to wait on that card. Another spicy, another card there. We have the 2 Dissolves main, where eventually you're going to get into this tango with Esper, where they're going to kill a few of your Planeswalkers, but when you play Jace, you +1, you draw a card, you get something out of it. You Memory Depth, the Architect of Thought, you Memory Depth, that's what you do. The Architect of Thought, you -2, draw a couple cards. So you're going to be able to just get cards while they're wasting those Heroes Downfall, and then eventually, not that far down the line, you're going to play a Memory Depth because you have 3 of them, and you're going to be able to overwhelm them. So I think the key to beating Heroes Downfall is not to run away from the Planeswalker plan. I think it's just to become dense. A dense Planeswalker plan.
So you're really basically planning to try and just overload on Muldrifters against Doomblades. That's like the core of the argument.
That's the argument,
I'll just cantrip my guy when I play it. If they kill it, it's not that big a deal. If it lives, it'll win me the game.
Yeah, if it lives, and then they say go the next turn, then you start zeroing it. And I think that another reason is your main deck is so good against everything else. You got burn spells, removal spells. They have a lot to take out against Esper. You have all those Supreme Verts and all those Chained Rocks, all these removal spells in the main deck, and Helixes. So when you bring all those out, you have a big gap, and you need a heavy sideboard for that mirror match. So
well, you've got some of these singletons I mentioned already.
Yeah.
Let's start with Trading Post, because that's the one that would make Brad the happiest.
Yeah.
So why are you running Trading Post in your blue-white-red deck? You don't have a lot of artifacts.
No.
You also don't have a lot of creatures, although Assemble at least provides you unlimited fuel.
Yeah, one day.
So what's up with the Trading Post?
It's a Planeswalker that says gain 4 life a turn. That's all it is. Against the red deck, you gain 4 life a turn. If anyone's playing red deck at this tournament, which is very unlikely, you're not going to have many. You're going to have some, but you're not going to have many.
Sure.
But even against the Black Devotion deck, it stops Desecration Demon for a limited amount of time until they actually have a spot removal spell. But you gain life and you have to outrace Pack Rats at the very beginning if you're just trying to dig to a verdict. Being able to gain 4 life puts you out of reach of the drain of that the mono black decks can do.
The Gray Merchants,
there's a lot of ways you can use Trading Post utility-wise, but it's one of those specific bullets just for the decks that can burn you out or against mono black.
Okay, I like the idea of a Planeswalker that can't be Heroes Downfalled or attacked, really, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And last, but certainly not least, the wildest card in your sideboard by a fair margin.
Yeah.
Wild Ricochet.
Yeah.
What are we planning to fork? Fork plus.
All right, so we have a lot of fork targets in this format, but they mainly come from the Esper mirror match. And I say mirror match because I have all control extra mirror matches in my opinion. They play out very similarly. So you're going to want to Wild Ricochet a few things. You're going to want to Wild Ricochet, it's a lot of W's, Sync's Revelation, being able to copy it, draw cards, and then then after you draw your revelation cards first, you have the opportunity, after all these counter spells that you boarded in, to easily stop their revelation.
Sure, you've got all those negates along with your dissolves.
Exactly. And then after that, later in the game, most Esper Mirror matches boil down to this. They're going to Thought Siege you. And then they're going to play an Aetherwing, and that's what they beat you with. 9 times out of 10, that's their strategy. They draw the Thought Siege, they're like, finally, Thought Siege you, Aetherwing, just so they can get through Gainsay or Dissolve or whatever. If they Thought Siege you in the middle of the game and you Wild Ricochet it, the game's going to be over. You're going to win. Not only do they have to discard a card of their choice, you're going to pull the Aetherling out of their hand or whatever threatening card they have, and then you're going to be able to resolve what you need to resolve.
Okay.
In a counter war, it's almost like Counterflux, where you're able just to counter 2 things.
Sure.
Throw 2 counter spells on the stack and be able to win a counter war that you're fighting over. If anybody's playing a heavy burn red deck on the play, being able to fork 2 lightning strikes at creatures. It has a lot of fun applications in it against aggressive decks with lots of spells you boarded in, and then against the control mirror you bring it in. And it's a 1-of, so when you draw it, it's not like, oh no, I drew 2. When you draw 1, and then you have that card in your hand, if they don't know it's coming, and I mentioned this earlier to a friend, if they don't know it's coming, it's great. I mean, it's up here on power level. If they know it's coming, it's significantly worse. But
Sure.
as a surprise card, I think it's a pretty good one.
All right, well, I won't argue that. You're certainly going to catch some people off guard with that card this weekend.
Yeah.
So good luck to you once
Thanks,
you get
man.
into your rounds.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Anytime. Thanks a lot.